Well, let me say on all of us who've worked so hard on this, we're putting faces now for the people and the reasons we're here from all of our states. It's the working men and women of West Virginia, of North Dakota, of Ohio, of Pennsylvania, of Kentucky, of Virginia, of all this country. And we talk about it all the time. And all we're asking for is to do what we have said we would do, keep the promise we've said we would keep, and basically we already have it paid for. This is not a heavy lift for anybody. And this is something we thought we had worked out. This is not something just happened lately. This didn't crop up. We've been talking about this for over 2 years, that this day would come. The only finite date we have to deal with right now is December the 31st. 16,000 miners from all over the country losing their health care as of December the 31st. And we've asked and we said, fine, we'll work with you. We need a pension fix too. Right now we have to put the pension fix off. We said we'll work on that next year. And we thought everything was fine. 3 days ago or 2 days ago, we hear about the 4-month extension. That is not only a non-starter, that's inhumane. And that's what we've talked about. And I think I've explained enough to you how this thing works or how it doesn't work. But not only is that an insult to injury of the 4 months, a person basically on 4 months notice can't even meet their deductibles. So basically they got no insurance. And we said that is absolutely something that we can't accept. So we're working hard, we're fighting hard. I've never used these procedures before. I think you've known me for 6 years here. Never before have I ever held anything up. And now I've got all my bills held up. I've got all Heidi's held up. I've got all Sherrod's and all of us together. But we have something that's worth it. And we have Senator Bob Casey with us now too from Pennsylvania. So we are committed. This is our heart and soul. This is why we're here. This is why we're serving. This is not called public service for nothing. And some people forget when they get here, it's not self-service, it's public service. And this is the public that we do serve. With that, I want to introduce my dear friend from Ohio, Sherrod Brown, and the fight that we've had together here for a long time.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. This is really simple. This can get fixed easily. We know there's strong bipartisan support. You may remember several months ago, Senator McConnell said to Joe and to Bob and to Heidi and to Mark Warner and others and to Senator Portman and Senator Capito that we needed to make this bipartisan, so we did. It's bipartisan. We have pretty much all the Democrats and a number of Republicans. That wasn't good enough. Then he said we want to see a bill pass. So Cecil Roberts came to town. We did our big rally. We pushed a bill through Finance Committee. Senator Casey and I led the charge on that committee. It passed out 18-8. Every Democrat, about a third of the Republicans, and we did that. Then Senator McConnell said, you got to pay for it. So we looked, and Joe led on this to find the money in the abandoned mine fund to pay for it. So there's no tax dollars. This is simple. We should be able to pass this, but we have, if we don't do this, we have no business going home, no business for us celebrating Christmas when far too many widows and far too many retired miners can't celebrate Christmas because they've got that notice early December or late November, that notice saying their health insurance runs out at the end of the month. In this sort of phony solution, it's really more insulting than anything. As Senator Manchin said, this phony solution of a 4-month extension means that the same people that got the notices in November, early December, October, got them in October, those same people are going to get the same notices in January or February saying it runs out in April. I mean, who wants to live that way? Who should have to live that way? That you're going to have insurance, but it's going to run out, and then maybe we'll renew it, maybe you won't. I mean, this is something we should fix. We're not insisting on the pension now. We'd like to, but we're not insisting on the pension being fixed. We'll do that next year. We are insisting that we get a 1-year extension on the insurance so families can enjoy the holidays a little more, so there's a little more certainty, so that people that have particularly the kind of illnesses that far too many coal miners are afflicted with can plan their health care and plan their lives a little better. That's all we ask. It's really simple. It can be done easily. If this were a bill on the Senate floor, we'd pass it with 70 or 80 votes. We'd get every single Democrat. We'd get half the Republicans. We'd do what we ought to do for the labor movement. We'd do what we ought to do for workers. We'd do what we ought to do for people that have worked in the mines for 20 and 30 years. I've talked to a whole lot of Ohio mine workers today and in the past. This is pretty simple. There's just no excuse for our not doing it, and it's time to move on and do it.
Thanks, Sherrod.
Thank you.
The other thing we all talked about, it's not like we had a heavy work year this year. So everybody had to leave today. I can't understand, but it's not like we've been here slaving away. So with that being said, a lady that works every day, a lady that fights every day, for all the working people in North Dakota, but for really all the working people in America, is Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota.
Thanks,
Heidi.
Joe. Thanks, Joe. I actually want to make a point about the West Virginia flag. The West Virginia flag has two symbols on it that reflect what we're talking about today: farmers and coal miners. People actually get up every day and work for a living. People put their lives on the line, work in dangerous occupations, both farming and coal mining. And then they believe that they've made a contract with the government, a contract with society, that if you work hard and play by the rules, the system is going to be honest. The system is going to deliver what the system promised. And guess what? It isn't today. You will find any number of people. I've been here 4 years. I can't tell you how many times I have heard a member come to the floor and talk about working men and women. Talk about how this country needs to reward hard work, needs to live up to their commitments to working men and women. Guess what? When the rubber meets the road, we don't get what it takes. We don't get the security. We don't get the relief. We don't get what's promised. And at the end of the day, when, I don't have a lot of miners who are affected by this in my state, but this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the spear for working men and women with these kinds of challenges in this country, whether it's a pension challenge, whether it's a health care challenge. And if we're going to be a country that rewards hard work, then we better live up to our commitments. Now, there are a lot of people over in the House of Representatives, where a lot of them probably are. They're over at the White House right now, all dressed up for the event that's at the White House. You know what? We're standing here in solidarity with American workers. Amen. American workers who have dedicated their lives, who have lost their lives in the mines in West Virginia. If we can't all stand for working men and women in this country, we deserve what the American public thinks about us. We deserve the ratings that we get. And so today, we can take that first step of working together for working men and women, working together for coal miners who have risked their lives to deliver prosperity to the rest of this country. So let's get it done. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for what you're doing.
Thank you, Heidi. We have next with us, we have our dear friend from our neighboring state of West Virginia, is Pennsylvania, Senator Bob Casey, a great friend, a great fighter for us. Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Senator Manchin, Senator Warner, Senator Brown, Senator Heitkamp. We're honored by her presence here. I have a number of coal miners in my state. If you just look at the pension number, it's more than 12,500 affected by the pension issue. The health care number is lower, but it's almost 1,400 Pennsylvania families affected by this. Look, this is really simple. This is not complicated. This is about a promise. Whether or not we're going to keep our promise to these families. These families kept their promise. A coal miner who did that work all those years in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, or Virginia, here's what they promised. They promised they'd go to work every day, and they did that. And some of them did it for years and decades. They promised their family they would provide for them, and they fulfilled that promise. And many of them made a promise to their country that they would serve in a time of war, whether it was World War II or Korea or Vietnam and beyond. They kept that promise to their country. We made a promise to them. The promise was real simple. You keep your promises, we keep our promises on health care and on pensions. So the test for the United States Senate, the test for every member of both parties is, will you keep your promise to these families? It's as simple as that. And here's what we heard from people that wrote to a lot of us. We've got more letters on this issue than almost any other. I'll just read an excerpt from two of them. Here's one from a family in Greene County. I'm sorry, this is from Cambria County, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. First of all, I won't read all of it, but they say, we're in our late 70s and desperately need our pension and hospitalization. We will not be able to make ends meet without them. Okay? That's direct testimony from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Let me read you the last one. Greene County, Pennsylvania. A lot of coal mining families there. This is from the son talking about his mother who needs health care. Here's what he says about her. Her life depends on this measure passing. She has cancer and will need surgery. I am taking her to see the doctor on November 29th to talk about the surgery. This isn't some far-off issue. It's right now. They need their health care right now. Not a year from now, not a decade from now, right now. Let's keep our promise.
Thank you, Bob. We have our dear friend basically from the other side of our state, Virginia.
The Commonwealth.
I told him we didn't leave them, they left us. Anyway, he's my dear friend. He's fought very hard for us with this issue, understands it extremely well. We're so pleased to have him. Mark Warner from the state of Virginia, my good friend, Mark.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And more importantly, you know, a lot of issues we talk about up here, they're full of facts and figures. This issue is about human beings. That's right. This issue is about people, echoing what Bobby Casey said, who kept their promise. You know, we've been asked for a year and a half to jump through a whole bunch of hoops, put a bipartisan bill together. We put a bipartisan bill together. And boy, oh boy, before the election, there was a whole lot of bipartisan folks out here supporting this. Where are they now? They said, had a hearing. On Finance Committee, we had a hearing. They said, report it out. We got to vote 18-8. Yet we're now days away from a whole lot of folks losing their health care. And what makes, if you could even make it more cynical, the few months extension that were granted, it's not using any commitment from the United States of America. It's basically your own money. Your own money that was reserved in a fund that, yes, it was going to be kicked in, but it was going to be kicked in when there was a solution. So it's a holiday spirit. It's Christmas time. This is not about giving folks a present. This is about giving folks a duty and an obligation and a commitment that the American people made. That's right. And Lord knows, anybody who's never been underground doesn't know how challenging and difficult it is to work in those circumstances. If the United States of America, which has helped whole lots of folks all around the world and whole lots of other industries, aren't willing to honor our commitment to the miners and for so many cases, their widows and children, then shame on all of us. Let's make this happen.
Well, let me tell you, we've had our caucus, as you know, and we've had our friends on the Republican side. I know we have 15, 16 votes on the Republican side, maybe even more if we had a vote. And as they've said, all of my senators know if we put it on the floor today, it would pass. We have not a problem with that. We know that. We've worked very hard. A person who's held our caucus together and has worked very hard for all of us and fighting for working people every day. But this is a time to either stand up or shut up. This is we're at. Stand up or shut up is what we're at. We've got to that.
What do you really mean?
That's and the person that stands up and stands tall for us every day is Chuck Schumer. I'm happy to have him here with us fighting for us for this cause.
Well, thank you. And I first want to tell the miners here what a wonderful job Joe and Heidi and Sherrod and Mark and Bobby have done for you. The reason we are here, the reason we're getting close is them. And I want to tell the miners, I have their back because they have your back. Plain and simple. And I just want to say to everybody here, we're going to win this fight. We can't predict the exact path, but we are going to win this fight because we're right. And all you have to do, America, is look at the faces of these fine people who gave so much, and you'll know we're doing the right thing. And I hope that everyone, Democrat, Republican, will unite. I hope our new president-elect, who talked and got to know the miners, will speak out. We want to get this done. We don't care about partisanship. We don't care about winning and losing. We want to get these beautiful people their due, and we won't stop till we do. Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions very quickly before anybody freezes up on us?
Come on, Joe. It's not that cold.
Can I just clarify what you guys are asking? Are you asking for the 1-year extension or for a permanent?
We were asking for the permanent fix for the miners' extension. We've been even willing to negotiate. We've even negotiated down. They said they threw out, how about 1 year? We've taken it. Give us the 1 year to fight another day. 4 months doesn't do a thing. 1 year gets us to fight another day. 4 months doesn't do a thing. But there's no reason why we can't do the permanent fix. No reason whatsoever.
Senator Manchin, are you willing to shut down the government over this issue? And how do you
This is not a shutdown issue. If you think we've been overworked this year, you're the only person in America that thinks that. Now, with that being said, we had everybody just had to get out of town today for some reason. Just had to leave. We're not. We're willing to stay here and work. There's no reason to even speak about shutdown. With the time we have left, we can do extensions. We can sit here and work through this and work it out. There's a lot of good things. I have a lot of good bills. All of us have a lot of good bills that should be going through there right now. So don't look at us that we're shutting down. We're not talking that. We're not thinking that. We're willing to stay here and work.
Senator Manchin, do you have a commitment from 41 Democrats to block spending bills?
We have a strong commitment right now from our caucus. I can tell you that. A very strong. Well, I think that we're staying here tomorrow. We're staying here tomorrow to get her done.
We have unanimity in the caucus on miners for a year and on Buy America. Everybody in our caucus supports both of those.
Because the government shuts down after tomorrow.
Government's not going to shut down. Doesn't need to shut down. This is such a simple lift. Such a simple lift.
Bring them back.
We've had skeletons that vote here before.
What's more important, the House of Representatives going home and having a good time, or helping these people?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Been a long haul.
UMW.